All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Kick Rock's podcast, 2 Drink Minimum. Today, the gang got together and we all talked about sequels that we wish would have happened. So, sequels that never were. Do you have a favorite movie out there? Do you wish there was more of it, but that just never came to be? That's what we're talking about today. So, sit back, relax, have a drink with us, and enjoy. All right, gentlemen, and to all of our faithful Kick Rock listeners, cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Must be at my house.
Yes,
Right?
there's plastic. We're clearly at Tony Marino's.
I have the
Casa.
only glass. Thanks, beer. Thanks, beer.
Welcome to Kick Rock's podcast, 2 Drink Minimum. We are talking about movies, go figure, that we wish had a sequel. Now, this could be a standalone movie that you wish had a sequel, or this could be a movie that does have a sequel, or sequels that you wish had even another one beyond that. So if it was only 2, you wish it was a trilogy. If it was a trilogy, you wish it was a quadrilogy. I don't know what you call that. I don't know what you call that. Something like that.
Quadrilogy.
You wish you wish it was a quadratic equation. I don't know. You wish it was something with 4.
Can we fire
So
him?
anyway,
Can
you fire me? Am I
There just won't be
fired?
a sequel to this podcast.
all right, there won't be a sequel to this podcast, clearly. But that's what we're talking about today. So movies that we wish had sequels to them. It's strangely prevalent in this day and age because it seems like a lot of hit movies, at least, get sequels automatically.
Right.
I feel like it wasn't always so. There's a lot of movies, maybe from our childhood, that were just standalones. Maybe some of us have them that never got a sequel, and we wish there was one.
You know what? So, like, to that point, like, I think there's certain movies that don't need sequels at all.
Agreed.
That are perfect.
Agreed.
But you miss the characters, and,
Yeah,
and
like,
you don't care,
you
and
just
you're
want
like,
one.
wow, that was wrapped up. They really, that
Right.
character went as far as they were going to go in this situation, and
Like
then you go,
Deuce Bigelow
and then
or
you go,
The Love Guru.
hey, you knock it off. There was a sequel to Deuce
But to
Bigelow.
that
Yeah, there
point-
was. Yes, there
And-
was.
Yeah.
European Gigolo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. I
No,
forgot.
Tony, you're right. Like, yeah, there's stuff that we maybe wanted because of the character, but now to Bill's point too, today, like, even the worst piece of crap is getting a sequel.
Cashing in.
Right.
They want
And-
to.
and they're making bad movies
It's a
on
money
bad
grab.
movies on
It's
bad
like, hey,
movies.
this is still hot. Let's pump another one out because this one made X amount of dollars.
Right.
We can make this one for half the cost, and let's see if we can get a distribution deal.
I
Yeah, the
honestly-
problem
So,
is
'cause
it
most-
has an opposite effect sometimes where movies that should just have had one, like off the top of my head, The Sandlot, has, I think, a couple of sequels. I've never seen any of them for good reason.
Well, they do.
Because I
Kids'
don't
movies
want to ruin The
direct
Sandlot.
video.
But
kind of
but
thing.
also
Right.
like maybe 10 years from now, maybe even 5 years from now, if there wasn't any of those shitty sequels, you're like, man, I kind of wish I knew what was going on with those guys
wish I
right
knew
now.
what Smalls
what would
was
happen
doing
with
right
those?
now.
What would happen with their kids?
The only Sandlot sequel that would be appropriate is I want to see the original Sandlot kids growing up now. Like, that's fine.
Sure.
Let's
So-
do that. But
actually, and I your example with the Sandlot to me is a little off, kind of, only because
well, I'm a little off, kind of.
only because a lot of the kids movies today, like, they're doing a lot of like direct to video sequels and keeping series going for
Sure.
The Sandlot was a little different. The sequel came out how many years later? But there's so many of those kids movies now that have parts, like up to like 10 different parts now, because they're just being direct to video.
All
releases.
money grabs. All money grabs. Anyway.
Right. But what
Hey,
we're
it's
talking
working.
about today is movies that actually deserved a sequel.
Kids movies and Starship Troopers movies.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fair enough.
Dude, man, the first time I went to see that, my friend Tom saw it already, and he's like, we were kids, but he's like, it's great. There's all these like these badass operatic songs during all the action sequences, and I'm just like, yeah. I went and saw it. There's none of that in the original. Absolutely none of it. And it killed it for me. I was like, as I got older, I'm like, was he just like a kid pumping this up? Did he ever even see the movie? But like that original would have been so much better if they would have had some really badass like Oh Fortuna playing while they were gunning down all these giant bugs. Like it would have been amazing.
If memory serves, they didn't have any music. It was just kind of empty. It was like like a year in the
Yeah,
past.
exactly. Exactly. That would have been so great. All right, sorry.
No,
I
fair enough.
digress quite
Hey,
a bit.
before we get started, for sake of reference, I am Bill.
Joe.
JT.
Tony Marino.
Sergio Torres.
All right, those two had to do the full
JT
names.
Malloy. Yeah, what the fuck?
They always got to do the full names.
At least you said your real name this time.
All right. Well, let's get things rolling. Who wants to start? Who's got a movie that deserves a sequel?
Oh, I'm just gonna chime in.
Do it,
first.
Tony. Do it.
I'm gonna go with one of my favorite movies of all time, and I've always been scared they're gonna make a sequel because, like, oh no, they're gonna do it wrong. But at the same time, I want to find out what Matilda is doing now. From no, not Matilda. That's what you're thinking of. That would be an interesting.
Now
sequel.
I know what you're talking about. Now I know what you're talking about.
Leon the Professional.
Yes.
I want to know what that little girl is doing now, considering what she went through.
Oh, straight up
And
assassin.
absolutely.
Gotta be.
She had to follow in the footsteps.
The Matilda movie would be Matilda the Professional.
Matilda the Professional
Oh,
would be
that's perfect.
fantastic. Again, just chills right now.
Yes.
And that's like a
And you
a
still get
perfect
Natalie
action
Portman
movie.
to do it.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
yeah.
It'd be amazing. Like that's a perfect action movie. It really is.
Agreed.
And it ends well, and it's just kind of like, okay, there's closure, but like in my mind, it's what is she doing now? You know what I mean? And I want to know what's happening with her. So that's a sequel that I'd really be interested in. And obviously, like, you know, the main protagonist is dead. Spoiler alert. All the antagonists are gone. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of got tied up with a nice bow at the end. But for what was she in that? 11?
Yeah.
Or something? Yeah. An 11-year-old girl
Where
that
does
went
that
through
girl
that
go from
situation.
there? How
Her
does she grow up
family's
from
dead.
there? Yeah.
Her second family, Leon, that took her in and started, taking care of her. He's gone now. So what did she do with, what was left to her? So like, I've always wondered what's happening. Does she still have that plant that she had at the very end? She planted it in the ground. Is it still there? Is she stopping at that school every day? She's a grown woman now. What's she doing for a living? Right. She's got to be an assassin, right?
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's something
Like
where I'd
on
be
the side, like she has a day job though, right?
Sure, absolutely. She's got to have the
as
front.
a front, for sure. She still has the plant, no doubt.
For sure.
And yeah, she's a stone cold assassin.
Oh,
by
dude,
night.
it'd be so
whatever,
cool
yeah.
to
She
see
has.
that. And like, it's one of those ones I've always feared too. Like, I would be equally excited if they released a trailer or if you heard about it, that it was greenlit, but I'd also be like, oh God, no, like, who wrote it and who's directing it and who's signed on? Like, what if it's going to be really bad? Because there's been really bad sequels.
Oh, sure.
Tons.
But yeah, tons. But that's one of my favorite movies. And that's one of those ones where it's like, man, I really want to know what's going on with that character. What's she doing?
Oh yeah.
She doesn't have a 9-to-5 and she's just living a normal life with her family. Like, that's not the case for her. She's messed up. So yeah, that's something that I would be totally pumped to see a sequel for.
I love it.
Yeah. Matilda.
That's great. I love
the
that
Professional.
you had the we should do this. I know this is like last minute. We should do if you have the sequel in mind, like not just should it have a sequel, but what do you think should be part of the plot as well? I like that aspect of it. So if you have an idea of what you think the plot should be, we should explain that as well. That's fun.
Dude, it'd be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. I love it. All right.
I'll go.
All right.
Nice. All right, Joe.
The icing.
You're
No, that's not my real pick,
Such a
but
dick.
it's not my real pick, but I had to throw that out there. For those of you that don't know, The Icing is a classic starring our own Tony Marino.
That's a fact.
And
Fact.
isn't there
And Jim McMahon.
a sequel to The Icing?
Yeah.
There's a script.
It's in the works.
There's a script. I was approached. I've just been too busy with my schedule to. I couldn't sign on for it. So if Chivis is gonna go ahead and do it, I'm all the well wishes and hey, go for it. But I didn't have the time to put in for it.
Well,
So
shout out to our boys at Chivis. So if
Absolutely.
you want to see Tony reprise his role,
we spent way too long.
And
on my
actually,
joke.
As a badass.
Chivis, speaking of Chivis, like, dude, Derek Brash is doing a lot of things. He's got another feature he's working on. They just finished a feature called Guardian Angel that they're selling
nice.
DVDs for right
did
now.
another feature?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of work.
They
so
churn 'em out, man. That's awesome.
Derek is just like pumping out stuff, man. So
we just
congrats to him.
My joke took too much time. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe next time you don't tell a joke.
But, I mean, hell, no jokes on 2 drink minimum.
Live and learn. This isn't fun anymore.
I didn't think that was a joke. I want to see The
Wait,
Icing
did Kick
too.
Rocks about comedy? Come on.
All right. So anyway, my real pick is actually a comedy. Spaceballs.
The search for more money.
It was referenced in the first one.
Why they never
really
did
good
that, I
point.
don't know, but they should. Mel Brooks,
They
Mel
totally
Brooks,
should.
you're clearly listening.
Even as
Has Mel Brooks done any sequels?
I don't believe so.
well, there was talk I saw recently within the last couple of years, people approaching Mel Brooks about doing the sequel, and it's been discussed and then shot down and then talked about, and like it's been on and on and on. It's almost kind of like the saga to get to Sin City 2. You know what I mean? It took so long to get there.
And then
This
it
is
wasn't
even longer. And then that was one of my most disappointing sequels. I wanted that sequel so bad,
Me too.
and then it happened.
And I saw it and I was like,
It wasn't good.
But
you know, it's funny,
Spaceballs,
like, because in the joke in the first one is the search for more
the
money.
search for more money.
And I listened to him on a podcast last year. He was on the Nerdist with Chris Hardwick, and he was so funny. Like he's just as
He's
funny as
still
you
got
think.
it.
He's still got it.
Yeah.
But literally, like probably 10, 15 times through the podcast, he's like, "So how do you make money on this?" Like he's literally asking him about the podcast.
Yeah.
What's the point of this, and
Yeah.
how are you making any money off of this? And it's a real conversation. And it was like, dude really is a businessman. Like
Right.
he's funny as hell,
There's
but it's
people
like
listening to me talk.
right. There's the reason that we're doing anything that we're doing
I
ever
don't get it. Yeah.
is to make money. You know what I mean? That's his mindset. It
Yeah.
was kind of wild to hear that.
Last time I saw him was on Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars.
Yes.
That episode.
Him and
Was it this season or last?
wasn't
was
he
one of the
with
first
Carl
ones,
Reiner?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
It was great. Yeah.
Last time I saw him was
live.
live
Oh,
in
yeah.
Chicago
Oh, yeah.
Theater.
Nice.
And if it sounds like I'm bragging, I am. Because I was like 30 feet away from one of my idols. And yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
They
that's
screened
great.
Young Frankenstein and I saw Mel Brooks live. It was great.
In terms of like,
Roll in the hay.
Oh,
Roll in the hay.
so good.
in terms of
That's
your
fantastic.
plot,
The crowd was like
Yes.
calling out all the lines too. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead.
in terms of your plot ask on that, I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
there's-
what would it be?
there's well, I mean, there's a million different directions. Like, especially if it was immediately after,
Yeah.
maybe it's more adventures of Lone Star and the gang, like different stories, different villains, different whatever. you know.
Well, look how Star Wars went with all these little side stories where
Yeah.
literally you can write anything.
we could have had a whole
Yeah.
barf story.
I want to know where barf came from.
Oh,
Or a
sadly
prequel.
though,
A prequel about Pizza the
can't.
Hut.
You know where he went.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to get a different actor to play Barf, is what we're saying, which
Can't
is
do it.
very sad.
Because it would
Yeah.
be Farley.
R.I.P.
and-
John.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
So now who could even do it
Wow,
now?
it's terrible.
Is there a big man in comedy right now that I'm just not thinking of?
I don't know.
Kevin James.
Bobby Moynihan.
I'd feel bad for him and I'd hate on it just to hate on it, but I could see Kevin James doing it.
Yeah.
If he was signed on for it, I'd be like, no. But in the back of my head, I'd be like, hey, you're the only one that can do it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think I have like you threw this plot idea in,
I'd just say it's
But I
it's
mean,
fun
the
to say
real-
what you think the movie should be.
yeah. But the reality is, for this one, it could be any number of things. They could have all new adventures and across the galaxy, basically.
Yeah, and the
like-
reason behind it is because it's easy to say like, well, there should be a sequel to this,
right?
but why? What would it be? Just a little.
Don't
have to give it an entire plot, but a little idea.
How does Lone Star adjust to life as a prince?
There you go. I love it.
An honest to God prince.
I would do it as a prequel and like have it not line up with the first one. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
just like all the things you hate about prequels, just like
Just total
shine a
farce, just
spotlight on it,
ridiculous.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks is listening to this right now going, these are all terrible ideas.
There's no way Mel Brooks.
There's
is
no way
listening
this would
to
make
this
money. There's
right
no
now.
way it would make money. Yeah. You never know. He might.
not Joan Rivers either.
I know.
Okay, so half the cast.
But
is
the daughter who played Joan Rivers in the movie Joy could pull off Joan Rivers in this movie.
Is
They got
Dot,
the same
Dot
voice.
Matrix.
Yeah.
There
Same
you go.
voice and everything.
There you go.
You guys saw Joy, right?
Mhm.
No.
It's a good movie. Check it out.
That's
Jennifer Lawrence.
Lawrence, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Very good indeed.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
So yeah, Spaceballs 2. The search for more money.
The
Let's
search
have it.
for more money. All right. I'll jump in. Going with that 80s theme. We'll keep the 80s theme going because mine's very obscure. And a lot of people don't even like the first one, but I don't care. I've already brought it up in a previous podcast, and that is Willow.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Bring me the baby.
Trouble.
You
They're already
You
sort of ruining
stupid
this.
hag. Willow is look, it's a phenomenal fantasy movie. It is totally.
I
So-
remember loving that as a kid. I
yeah.
cannot remember how it ended at all.
Well, it ends with they defeat the ultimate evil, the Queen Witch Bavmorda.
So what else are they going to do if they defeat
And-
the ultimate evil?
Well, clearly there has to be a new ultimate evil that emerges.
The more ultimate?
Duh.
The most ultimate
Duh.
evil.
Yeah. So you have Willow, right? Is like all grown up. He's now the leader of his village. Right?
Did he really grow up or did he just get old?
Oh. Ooh, that's a little people joke.
That's a low blow. I'll stop.
Or is it? I don't even know what the PC is anymore. Midgets, dwarfs, little people. I'm not sure.
I think it's little people.
Well, now we're in trouble.
The ultimate evil thing got me thinking though. It's like sometimes like if you're gonna have a sequel, you probably shouldn't blow like the ultimate evil in the first movie.
Well, yeah.
It's like think about like Ghostbusters 1. They fought a god. And the second one, they fought a painting. You know? Like-
Who was also
He was a god. He was
god.
godlike, wasn't he?
Stuck
a
in
little
the
bit.
painting. He is Vigo. Anyway, he yeah, but I don't know. So maybe there's another
Evil.
sorcerer or witch that
Sure.
wants to fulfill the prophecy and destroy, the child and everything.
So is it the baby's baby in this
The baby's baby. No, I think it's still the baby. I think they still have to destroy
one? That
the
one?
baby.
Or is it like that's offspring where it's their grandchild now? That baby is grown up.
Well, Laura Dannon, yeah. She's the queen of the world.
I can't remember all this. I'm trying to go for my like
Yeah.
8-year-old memory.
Yeah, I saw it like twice as a kid, and I barely.
I remember
I
all the weird
remember
names.
loving it. I really
so,
do.
But yes, the baby's all grown up. Laura is all grown up, and now she is the queen, right? And or whatever. She's in charge of stuff, right? And there's still the dark forces out there who want to who still believe in fulfilling the prophecy of killing her. And who's got to come to the rescue yet again? You guessed it, Willow.
Warwick
And
Davis pretty much looks the same.
he could.
He was in Solo.
I think he could pull it
Well,
off.
he's been in
Oh,
three.
that's
He's been in 3 Star Wars movies now.
Yeah.
Actually.
I think he could pull it off, and I think he'd be interested in it. But yeah, and then maybe you have Val Kilmer reprise his role as Mad Mardigan. Maybe he's like
Because what's he doing?
maybe he's the old swordsman general of the army now, right? He's in charge of stuff.
I feel like you've written this. It sounds like you got a pretty good idea.
there
what you
may be a
want.
script gathering dust in my house right
Hey,
now.
dude, fan fiction's a hell of a thing. Hollywood's tapped right now.
Willow 2 Electric Boogaloo is a script that's in my house right now. But yeah, no, I don't know. I would love to see it. I think it'd be fun. It'd be a cool, epic fantasy you could have where it's Willow all grown up, leader of the village. Now he's the head, wizard or mage, teaching the young ones, and then maybe that's what the story's about. He has to once again save the world. Can he still do it? Or is he too old and he's too slow? He doesn't have the same tricks that he used to, right? But he has to overcome all that. Why? Because he's Willow, damn it. He's Willow and he can do it. He can use his disappearing pig trick again and again to save the world. That's what's going to happen. Anyway,
So same movie?
yeah. That's all I want to see. I want to see Willow 2 do
You
the
just
same
want-
thing again.
But this is to that point. Like sometimes you just want more of those
I do. I
characters.
just want
That's
more
what
of
it
that.
is. You want
I
to see
just want
more of that.
I'm not gonna lie. I want more of that, and I want to see. Here's my main reason. I do want to see what Willow could be with today's technology and today's CGI and stuff. I think you get some really cool, effects and
Wait, so
fantasy
you,
type
is
shit.
so you
everything
want a
in
sequel
camera?
or a remake?
Is everything in camera for
Good
that?
question. No, there's some. A lot of it's in camera, but there's some cheesy.
CGI.
Yeah, there's one part that's particularly bad, and it's the part where the trolls turn into, like, when you kill a troll in that, they melt and turn into like a big dragon type monster, and those things are kind of bad looking, ish. But everything else is practical effects in that. I would just be interested to see how they do it nowadays.
Nice.
That's all. That's my pick.
It's a
Leave
good
me
one.
alone. I like Willow. I still like it. I'd like to see a sequel.
Billow.
Billow. Willow's son, Billow. I'm just saying. Working title. All right. Who wants to stop me from talking? Please, somebody
Anyone.
else.
JT.
Somebody.
Sergio.
Okay, it's me. I'm sticking with the '80s. I'm going with Indiana Jones
Yo.
because that's like my favorite action movie franchise of all time.
Okay, so you want to see a sequel done
I'm
right
curious
then?
what your
Yeah.
what your
Where you
angle is
going?
on this.
I didn't hate 4 as much as some people did. I didn't think it was great either. Like I thought it was a C, not an F. You know what I mean?
It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Would you say weakest of the 4?
Oh God. yeah.
totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I still consider the original 3 the trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like,
But you were happy you got those characters for a little bit.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
It was.
I thought it was cool they brought her back.
yeah,
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
cool.
like, yeah.
It was cool to see that.
Yeah.
There's no
Right.
doubt. Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't god awful. It had its moments, but there was a lot of not so great things
Sure.
about it. But what I would do is I would just recast Indiana Jones and just set it right back in the 30s and early 40s.
Oh, so you're talking more of a remake?
No,
So
not
like
a
in
remake.
between
No.
stories,
No.
like some
He wants
stuff that's
a
in between, like,
continuation, but
Raiders and-
just new actor.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford is getting old.
Post-
and they are
post
talking
Last
about
Crusade?
they're talking about a 5th. I don't know if you read any of this.
Post?
They are talking about a 5th,
Let-
and he's more of the professor now and less of the adventurer. And they're thinking about getting somebody else to
I gotcha.
be more
Take
the
up the
adventurer.
reins.
The
so
young
to
Right.
speak.
You want the
Jones.
character
I've heard
to develop.
rumors about that for a while, but these kind of things can fall through.
But you're
Oh, for
saying
sure.
so you're
Like,
saying
you
a
know.
sequel to like
saying
Last
James Bond
Crusade,
Yeah.
like something that takes place after Last Crusade, but before Crystal Skull. So it's a younger, middle-aged Indy still,
Right.
James Bond.
but you just recast that role.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing is that it's
Interesting.
like James Bond movies, like
You're right.
there's not always that much continuity between them,
Yeah.
Like
but
like,
it's that character.
like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was technically a
A
prequel,
prequel, right?
but nobody
What is it,
cared.
2 years
Nobody
before?
knew or cared because like it was just in the beginning, just like a title card that said it took place in this year. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the third one, Last Crusade, there was only one minor callback to the original,
Mm.
and that was when she said, "What is that?" And he says, "The Ark of the Covenant." She's like, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Pretty sure." That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
if you look at
that's-
them, they're all standalone stories.
they're all
Yeah.
very standalone. So I want them to just recast.
Why couldn't Indiana Jones be
Yeah.
a 007 type thing,
Right.
a James Bond type thing? Yeah.
They
What?
should just recast him and just send it back in the. That's the best era for that character anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think that's the way to go.
I think that'd be awesome. I always
great
thought of
idea.
Indiana Jones just like I thought of Han Solo as like I wouldn't be opposed to that.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that's all right. I was excited to hear that
It's-
there's another one. I was also bummed that he was going to take more of the laid back professor role.
Yeah,
and they were
yeah.
going to have somebody else like be
It's
as the
tough
adventurer.
because Harrison Ford is so
Oh
good.
my god, it's the best.
You know, you could argue that though about the Bond. You could argue Sean Connery was so good. He was, but then you have
Yeah,
other
but,
Bonds that are also pretty darn good
Like
too.
it,
Well,
people
you could argue
people want to go to see Indiana Jones because of the name.
Right.
Like I don't want to see Montana Jeff or whatever. You know.
Yeah,
Montana.
Oh, the Montezuma's whatever, and it's somebody else playing it. There's all those like really shitty indie
Well,
movies
that's
that
so weird. That's a great
weren't
point because why
Indiana
are we
Jones at
now
all.
like it never mattered for James Bond, and we're about to see. I think this year, maybe, or maybe it's 2020, but I think it's this year that Bond 25 is still untitled.
Yeah.
Is going to come out 25 Bond films.
Oh yeah.
With what is it, 6 different actors that have played Bond at this point?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's 6, might be 7. I think it's 6 though, off the top of my head. And
If you go
that-
for the
it's never really mattered. They just do a couple movies a piece.
broccoli Bond movies,
You
those
know.
are the ones that
It's
that
the story.
Yeah.
quote unquote count. you know?
is
Yeah.
Daniel Craig past his like
Yeah.
normal number.
He's doing 5. This will be his 5th.
I don't know how many is the norm of what they normally do. That's why I was wondering.
I think Sean Connery had 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's
'Cause I think
not
Daniel
counting
Craig
never
is-
say never again.
right.
'Cause that was
The
just a
if not,
Thunderball
I mean,
remake.
definitely one of, if
From
not
a
the
different
best
studio.
Bond. Like Daniel Craig's been awesome.
Oh yeah, he's been great.
He's he's like the best of both worlds, where he's got that suave, charismatic part of him, but he's also that rough and tumble, scrappy part of him as well.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
will
that's the
also
best.
argue that
I do like him.
The technology of cinematography has also made every single Bond,
Oh, for
every
sure.
person who plays Bond, a better
Bond because of that.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
You know?
There's always new gadgets.
With the
new-
tech of with the new
Locations.
tech of cinema, there's
Yeah.
new tech of Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the same thing. That's part of the reason that like Indiana Jones movies are so awesome is they take you to exotic locations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's
So
what the Bond movies
that's
do
a
too.
really good point.
funny
Yeah, that's
that you
true.
brought this up. Announced today the title of James Bond 25
Oh,
It was announced today.
today
That's
the
crazy. I
pulse.
didn't see
Wow.
that. Okay.
for Daniel Craig's last time. Shatterhand.
Shatterhand.
It's about
Yeah.
me when I punched someone.
Hmm.
like I shat my pants. Shat
Hey.
her hand.
Shat
Yes.
or hand.
That was terrible. That was awful.
For
What?
2020,
That was just
for
awful.
2020
That was so
release.
bad it lapped itself. It became good.
I don't
What-
know.
what's that song
I
gonna
still
be?
don't think it came good.
Shatterhand.
You need to shut her hand. Awful, man. It's terrible.
There's a rumbling
All right,
in
we're
your
gonna
Richard Bruno
stomach.
Mars
Mike,
singing it or something.
you were talking about how the Indiana Jones movies are standalone and there's no callbacks. You would know better than I would. All right, so the sword fight gun bit
Oh yeah.
where he shoots him, and then the next time that bit happens, he goes to draw and the gun's not there.
Yeah.
Same movie, different movies.
I think that's because like
No, I'm asking. I can't remember if it was
those
the
are
same.
different movies.
Okay.
When he shoots the swordsman, that's in Raiders. When he reaches for his gun and it's not there, that's in Doom.
That's
Which
a temple,
doesn't
which is
make
the prequel.
sense.
Doom takes place first.
Yes.
But that's kind of like a wink to the audience.
There's the
kind
still
of moment.
callback. So it's not a callback in
It's a callback for the
inside,
audience.
It's for the audience.
But like
And
in,
it's perfect.
in the movie, it could just be like, oh, he reached for his gun and now it's not there and now he's panicking.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So it's like you can have it both ways.
I was just curious because you were.
You could look at it as like he reached for his gun that one time, and then he remembered to always have his gun.
yeah.
by the time Raiders
that
takes
that
place.
makes sense.
Right? Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that could be like
Yeah.
the moment he learned.
That's true.
Where'd my gun go?
Maybe that's what they were going for the whole time. Who knows?
So
Awesome.
good.
Good pick,
Yeah, it's a great pick.
Sergio.
Shut her hand.
Shatterhand.
So for the
Right.
odd
Take
number
your
ones
hand
was
and
good,
take
so
a shot.
let's hope he follows it.
You did this to yourself.
I've got
I quit this podcast.
I've got a weird vision for what I would like to see, which is not necessarily a sequel, but kind of a remake. But it could be a sequel, but it would be a different director for
Rad
what
2.
he's already done for
Electric
another franchise of horror films that was awesome. So
Oh.
let me just say this. So I want to see what Rob Zombie did for his first remake of Halloween. I would love to see what he would do for either a remake or sequel of the movie Psycho, because I think that Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is phenomenal. But obviously, the era that was made, they couldn't take it as far as they could have because the content was just like you couldn't go that far.
That was
And-
far for its time.
That was
with,
far-
with showing
yeah,
a woman in the shower.
Yeah, and
then the
blood. Even though
blood.
it was in black and white.
Right.
The blood going down the drain
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
That was-
People
That
did
was
not
pretty
know
tasty.
prior to that movie that women bathed.
Right. Exactly.
Well, they
Brought it
certainly
to the-
didn't show it that much
Brought it
on
to the
film.
forefront
So
of our culture was
well,
very
that's why
defining
that's why it was provocative at the time because you didn't see that at that
Yeah.
point.
Exactly.
By the way, center bingo card piece for this podcast is you saying phenomenal. Sergio.
Yes, exactly.
As much as Tony saying iconic for me.
I was just about to chime in with that.
Close to home.
Yeah.
Free space. All right. Go on.
So, and granted, there was a remake of Psycho already with Gus Van Sant,
Which
in the
was
late 90s,
damn near shot for
and-
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate and respected that. Like literally, that was his goal
It's tough to do.
to redo a movie shot for shot.
Yeah.
Is that the Vince Vaughn?
A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate
I
on
feel
it.
like it was miscast.
Well, here's the thing. I respected the fact that he did a shot for shot, but then what annoyed me is like, if you're gonna do a shot for shot, then do a shot for shot, but then he took certain liberties. Like there was one scene where it was like he had Vince Vaughn in the just after they ate the sandwich, and I forgot the newer character's name, goes and takes a shower, and he takes the picture.
Was it
off
Anne
the wall.
Hesh?
Yes. Takes a picture off the wall and looks through the hole, and
Yes.
then like you see the light coming through the hole onto his eye. Gus Van Sant made a point to actually have the masturbation situation, like the sounds and the moans,
Yeah.
which Alfred Hitchcock didn't do.
No.
So if you're doing a shot for shot and a recreation, why add that in? Why add that in?
Yeah.
To
That was
make
the
it
only thing that annoyed
creepier,
me.
I guess.
Yeah,
but
I guess,
yeah,
but why add that in?
creepy enough just to have somebody peeking in. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, back to I love what Rob Zombie did for his remake of Halloween,
You sure?
because he really thought about that movie in a different way and decided to take the more current way of thinking of what a child who's like what would cause a child to actually go through that, to actually commit that type of crime, and they build up to that scene opposed to opening with it.
That's
And
a
then
lot
the
coming
rest-
from you because you're a big fan of the original as well.
Oh, I'm a huge fan, and I will never disrespect the originals because I think original Halloween is amazing. Just how I think the original Psycho is amazing. However, I
But a
respect
different take on it.
A different take on it
Sure.
for current times. So
Right.
I would love to see what Rob Zombie would do if he took the original Psycho and did that story with what we can handle now.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a fucking messed up, crazy
Yeah.
horror
A
film.
Rob Zombie version of it?
Yeah.
It would
Yeah,
definitely
probably.
You know,
Yeah.
and
That's a
as
safe
great as
bet.
Rob Zombie's Halloween was, let's not forget how awful his Halloween
Hal-
2 was.
And I'm not asking for him to do like more than one
right.
remake of
Just
Psycho.
do one.
Like, yeah,
Just do one. Just do one.
I just want to see that happen because I think that would be amazing,
Yeah.
cinematically.
Just to chime in real quick, what he's working on right now
Okay.
is Three from Hell. I was listening to this on a podcast the other day, which is his sequel to Devil's Rejects.
Yes, and House of a Thousand Corpses. I knew that
So
was
he is working on a sequel right now.
right, and I knew that.
Just not the one that
Is
you
he-
want.
is he
Yeah,
really? He's
yeah,
doing a
Tony.
sequel?
I was actually going to
Man,
bring it up
both
because I knew
those
that there was
movies
a
are whew,
third one
Yeah.
coming.
messed up.
They're fantastic,
2,000
though.
corpses.
They're awesome.
They're good, but they're messed
They're
up.
fucked up.
Yeah,
messed
they're really,
up.
they're definitely.
I do. I've watched them both. I'm like,
I feel like when I watch
they're
his
very
movies,
cringy though,
it's
man.
what people, when the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, was like, what am I watching? What's
Yeah.
happening? Like, it's that, and it's not all shock value, but
no,
like,
but
No,
he does it well. Like,
Rob Zombie will get you to cringe, man.
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
He's
that's
good
his
at
whole
it.
except
thing.
for his haunted house. I heard that's awful.
His haunted house.
Yeah, when he had that haunted house that he had set up across the
Oh.
country. I knew people that went to the one here, and it was pretty
Really?
brutal.
That's just poor
Yeah.
management.
Slam in the back of my Dracula.
You had to go there.
His films, though, they're cringy. That'll work.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah.
All right. No,
Nice.
another great pick. Yeah, I was a Rob Zombie version of Psycho. Yeah, you get a completely different take
Oh,
on Norman
I think-
Bates for
yeah.
sure.
so you
That's
thought
great. That's
the
great.
masturbation noises were bad?
Oh,
Wait till Rob Zombie gets his hands on
Oh,
it.
I know.
Okay?
But I'd be going in knowing that it's like it's a certain vision that's going to be thrown into this, opposed to going into a movie theater and thinking you're going to see a. I know it sounds
shot
stupid,
for
I know
shot.
what you
but
mean.
it's like
Yeah.
it was like, wait a second, like he did everything exact.
Sometimes
but this
Except
one
that-
thing,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
why? Like why?
Yeah.
why
Some,
make that
sometimes
decision?
like an adaptation is so reverential, and then they'll just take a left turn somewhere. You
yeah,
know,
it's like
it was
I
like
don't
Zack
understand.
Snyder's Watchmen. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like shot for shot the comic book until like the end, and then he just decided, oh, okay, I'll just do different stuff or whatever.
Exactly.
I'm not even a huge fan of the movie or the comic, but like I did notice that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we have where are we at?
Yeah, do we have
Time-wise? How we
time
looking?
for
I think we're at
Oh, yeah.
38.
Oh,
time
we got
time for
a
maybe
quick,
a lightning round?
quick round two, lightning round for round two.
Exactly.
Honorable mentions, as we usually do.
So
Let's do it.
Tony,
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many to choose from.
would you like us to come back to you?
Gross Point Blank.
Oh, that's actually a really good pick.
End of the movie. He leaves his town. He takes his girl, and they take off on the street. But like, He's an assassin. Why are all my? I want all my sequels to be assassin
I
sequels.
like it. I like it. Tony wants more murder.
Yeah, well, like, how does an assassin just start his life over, or how is he not followed, or you know what I mean? Like, he takes out Aykroyd. Spoiler: he takes out Aykroyd, that whole crew, and they take off. But like, what happens now? 10 years ago, I was reading something where somebody pitched like a sequel to it, and they're like, "No, here's what happens." Jeremy Piven's character, his best friend, like gets in some gambling debt with the mob, and then he calls him for help, and he's got to come back and save him, and then it's like Cusack versus the mob, and I'm like, oh, that's really stupid, but I'd go ahead and watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it, and I think it's just another one of those things where it's like, I don't care what it's about, I just want to see these characters again, and I'd be fine with this because Gross Point Blank, another one of my like, there's 100, but favorite movies where I just watch it all the time, and
It's a fantastic dark comedy.
oh my god, it's so dark. The soundtrack's
Great
fantastic.
title.
Yeah, absolutely. The town he's from is Gross Point. Come on, yeah, Gross Point Blank, of course.
Pretty awesome.
So I'd love to see a sequel to that. I'm a big Cusack fan. Even though he's been doing a lot of straight to DVD movies, but I'm a big Cusack fan.
You
Minnie
call it
Driver.
you call it Gross Point 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I'd watch it. It's like Gross Point Double Tap or something, you know what I mean? Where it's the second one. Yeah, Gross Point Blank Double Tap. Yeah, I may have thought about that title ahead of time, but yeah, pretty
So
good.
where's the script in your house right now? It's
What's up?
somewhere.
It's actually in the DVD of
Okay.
Gross Point Blank.
Okay, there you go.
Where is she
in
hiding?
there
You guys want
somewhere.
to read the first part of it? It's in here.
No, but I want to
No,
watch Gross Point
lightning
Blank
round,
after
so-
this podcast.
There she is.
No time for
There
scripts in
she's
the lightning
hiding.
round.
All right, fair enough. All right. Very good. Gross Point Blank 2. I like it.
So good.
More assassins for Tony.
Who was next?
Oh my god! But
I-
Oh,
Dan Aykroyd, he's like the main bad guy in the first one.
well, yeah.
That he kills, but like you could even cast Bill Murray as the main bad assassin.
perfect.
Little
Sounds like Tony's got his own podcast.
Dan Aykroyd's brother.
The making of Gross Point Blank.
He
2.
plays Dan Aykroyd's character's
I'm into
brother
this.
in it. He's like,
All
oh
right.
my gosh.
all right, I'm sorry. Who's up, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
Going to another childhood one, and again with a plot of many different adventures, whatever kind of thing.
Stop it.
The Goonies.
Oh my god. All right. That was one of my maybes. Nice.
fucking
Yeah.
Nice.
Goonies.
I mean,
Been
who,
waiting for
who
that for
didn't
years.
want a Goonies sequel?
Sure.
Still doesn't. Outside of that weird Nintendo game, The Goonies 2.
That really was the weirdest thing.
Right. The sequel was a
Shitty
very
video game.
Yeah, very poor
What'd you call
video
it?
game.
Goonies 2, Hey You Guys.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying.
But, I mean, they saved the Goondocks. They don't have to move. And then what happens? What happens with Sloth? What happens with the Fratellis?
He's
I'm
gonna
sure
live
they get
with
out of
Chunk
jail.
now. Chunk says it. You're gonna live with me now.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it. Everything's just back to normal. Nothing happens.
I would definitely watch that.
There's so many adventures.
Someone talked about it a while back, where it's like, all right, it's the whole Goonies crew grown up, and it's their kids
But if it was done
going
now,
on an adventure.
but I
or
mean,
something. Forever.
people have wanted this.
Well, what do
know?
you do with that group where now they have all the money that they need because
It's not money that they're going to live on forever. It was money to pay off the loans so they didn't have to sell the property. They still had to have normal lives.
that goddamn golf course.
They didn't have to leave the Goondocks.
Yeah.
They were saved. So these kids all still have all this life ahead of them, and clearly
Do you think any of
they
them
get
died?
themselves into some shit. Data probably electrocuted themselves.
Whatever money they
Goonies
had
never
left
say
over.
die. God damn it! I just keep throwing.
No,
that up.
Data's not dead.
Oh, look at you.
Mouth definitely dead though. He's not.
Whatever money they
Wait,
had
isn't
left
he dead
over,
in
they
real life?
used up and
Oh no,
coked
Feldman's not
out.
dead.
No, but
Hands dead.
has-beens.
he got himself into some.
Wow.
I think
Corey's.
Mouth got himself into some shit.
Well, yeah, he's talking.
Mouth is in jail. But I don't know. Yeah.
Or stand up.
I
I could see Mouth as a stand up comedian.
Chunk's a personal trainer.
he got in shape. He's a personal
Super
trainer.
jacked.
He actually is though. I remember I watched like
What?
it was like I watched one of the remember when everybody watched DVD commentaries? Nobody does anymore, but like we all did like when they were first a thing, and like
It's before the internet got fucking insane.
yeah, and like
Or was
I
it
remember
thing?
seeing like one of those little the video was in the corner,
Yeah.
like while you watch Goonies, and it was like everybody was out of shape and old and fucked up except for the guy who played Chunk. He was like normal looking.
Nice.
He was just a skinny, normal looking dude. Everybody else was destroyed.
Well, and Josh Brolin.
Right. And I mean, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
know,
Josh
and
Josh
we know,
Brolin's a shaped.
we know what Mikey looks like.
Yeah, but he's
Stranger
come on,
Things.
he's great.
Right.
He's great.
He's fantastic. Oh yeah, Chunk is thin and bald.
Let me see.
Isn't he a lawyer now?
Hand it over. More like the muscle shuffle. Look at that guy.
That's Chunk.
Yeah, that's Chunk.
More like the muscle shuffle.
He is a legal representative.
Oh, that's
So
great.
yes, sir, you were correct.
Well, I remember that because I remember watching when I bought my DVD of Goonies and I watched the commentaries and I remember them talking about it because, like you said, everyone was there except for Josh Brolin in the commentary that I had. And
His last acting gig was 1991.
Josh Brolin.
No, Chunk.
What's his real name?
Jeff Cohen.
JC.
JC.
Hell of a guy.
That JC, I tell you what.
I think a few. of us
We are
that
not
gig.
knocking on Sean Astin, though.
Oh,
Right.
no, not at all.
Right.
Rudy.
Right? Yeah. He's still the best.
It wasn't real Rudy like a jerk.
That's what you hear.
Kinda.
That's what you hear.
Apparently so.
Yeah, I've heard that's like radically different in real life. I read that somewhere.
I just remember him.
You know,
as the
like people talk in
fucking
movies
picture.
and you hate it, you know, like in the theater. But this one time I didn't mind it. Is like it has to be a pitch perfect, like, you know, like riff. You know, when somebody's in a movie theater and talks, and it's like when I saw Return of the King. When Samwise Gamgee got married, somebody in the front row was like, Rudy. I was like, all right, I can't be mad at that.
Just nailed it.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm.
Oh, that's
Goonies.
great.
Who's next?
Bill,
I'll
S.
go.
Preston, Esquire.
Willow 3.
By the way, Sloth died in 1989.
Like for real?
Yeah, the guy that played him
Guys, let's
died
take a
in
moment.
89.
Yeah.
So only 4 short
Hey,
years after.
you guys, let's take a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Let's all split up this baby Ruth. Will you take a bite?
Bill, pick
Bill.
one.
I'm going. You guys are being mean. I'm going to say another 80s one. One of my favorites. E.T. The Extraterrestrial. I think that one needs a sequel nowadays, especially. That'd be great. See a grown-up Elliot.
Bro,
Elliot.
dude, Haunting a Hill House, man. The
Yeah.
father. It
Yeah.
was crazy when you realize it. You're like in the middle of watching it. And you're like,
I didn't.
holy
I don't think
crap,
I
that's
even caught
Elliot.
that.
Oh, and he was also in Suicide King.
Suicide
Yes.
King. Yeah,
His name is,
he's the brother.
Henry
Elliot.
Thomas is the actor's name.
What's his name?
Henry Thomas. Yeah,
HT.
you've seen him in a lot of stuff. You don't realize it though. At first, he looks. When you realize it's Elliot, you're like, oh yeah. But when you see the older version of him, you don't. It doesn't click right away.
He just looks like a dad.
But if somebody told you that's Elliot from ET, you're like, oh my God,
that's
yes
Elliot.
it is. You just don't realize right away. He's got, I don't know, something about his face. It's one of those faces where you see him now and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it was a full episode.
But when somebody tells you, then it clicks.
Yeah, a full episode of Haunting a Hill House where I was like, holy shit, that's Elliot. And then the whole episode, I was like, crap, all I could think about is Elliot.
Yeah.
And then I got past it right away after that. But like,
Yeah, so he's very much still working.
yeah, he's working.
He's been working a
It's
lot.
a shame that adorable little Drew Barrymore never went anywhere or did anything.
The adorable, yeah. No,
DB.
she didn't do anything after that. She did nothing after that. And I want to say,
We're just keeping the bad jokes coming tonight, huh?
Yeah,
Might as well.
Right.
it's kind of what we're about.
exactly right.
No.
Oh my gosh, is it funny?
I'm filling airtime while Bill looks at his phone.
What are you doing over there?
I was making
dead
sure it was
air.
him. I was making sure it was the same guy I was talking about. Yeah, it's him.
Right.
I was just making sure it was Henry Thomas. I was making sure I had the right name. Yeah, so I had to double check. I've been getting, you know, my track record in this podcast and names of actors, directors, and writers and whatnot. I tend to get a little bit mixed up sometimes.
Who directed E E.T.?
There's a lot going in my head. Oh, come on, man. We all know it was Richard Donner. Or Steven Spielberg. How dare you? So yeah, one of my favorite films growing up. I think it'd be great to have, to see if I had a choice of plot wise, just give me a grown up Elliot and fam, and E.T. has to come back now for some reason.
Now this is his home. He's phoning home.
This planet's destroyed.
E.T. star 69. Isn't that the callback? No, but like, what if he did have to come back?
Yeah. What if his
Right.
planet was destroyed and he needed to come back?
There you go.
Or same thing just happens again.
Right, and then you have the same. Something has to happen, where you have the same scenario again, of, suddenly there's the
The
FBI
agents are
are
rushing.
chasing him, and like the car breaks down, so Elliot and E.T. have to get on a bike again, and the bike just starts flying, and they have to go through the moon all over again. I want to see the same movie, except with older Elliot and E.T. That's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. But yeah, the same kind of thing happens again. I want to see what happens to a kid that had that experience and saved an alien and actually got him back home. What would happen if, E.T. had to come back to Earth for some reason? Maybe you're right. Maybe his planet is now dying.
What if Elliot's
know.
like super obsessive because of that, and like all he's doing is tracking
to
alien
try to find
sightings
E.T. again?
because he's obsessed with it now.
And he's gone
Everyone thinks
crazy.
he's nuts.
And he doesn't have
Nuts.
a family. He's been like,
He's
in
a total
psych ward.
hermit. Ooh.
Oh.
Super 8 is pretty much scary, E.T.
He's in a psych ward and he still has
Super
that
8's great.
flower.
Yes, I love it.
He still has that flower that he has, and it's like in the window of his room, of his padded room.
Just writing all over all the
Right?
pads.
Yeah. The window's all barred, but it's just got that flower.
I mean, they
That's the
should
only
just
thing
base
he
it off
has.
the Atari game where you just fall through
And
holes
E.T.
forever
has
while
to
a guy in a
save
yellow
him.
jacket chases you.
He's just banging his head against the wall.
What
E.T.
if
phone home.
Firestarter was the sequel and E.T. just gave Drew Barrymore powers before he
It's
left?
fantastic. I like
All right,
that.
so who's next?
E.T.
No, I'd be
E.T.
down with
takes
that.
place in the same
And
universe
honestly,
as Star Wars.
I'm surprised that's true. That crossover. I'm surprised that one hasn't been done yet. I know it's like such a classic.
What about Mac and Me?
Awesome.
Dude, I literally just watched the supercut of all of Paul Rudd's
Jumps off the cliff.
appearances where he just shows that.
On Conan.
Oh my god, it's so good.
That's all right. No, it's okay. Just for the record, I didn't want to destroy perfect art with a Rob Zombie psycho. Anyway, go ahead, JT. Go ahead. You're up. You're up.
I wanted to see. I love that Spider-Man's in the MCU now, and I love the cartoon movie. But I wanted to see what the hell happened to Andrew Garfield in Amazing Spider-Man 3. We'll never get that. He was my favorite live-action Spider-Man. And the movies weren't perfect, the first and the second one, but just because they nailed the character in the ways that I like, I really wanted to see what they would have done.
Yeah, what
You
happened?
don't like the new kid?
I do a lot.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that they
prefer
don't make
Andrew
movies
Garfield?
just for
Yeah.
JT.
I know. It's
This is bullshit.
I think the problem with that
Amazing
reboot.
Spider-Man is the greatest comic of all time, so it's
Yeah, the problem with the reboot
hard
is
to
that
live
I
up
think it
to.
was the reboot that happened like too soon to the other Spider-Man movies. I think that it like the Amazing movies got maybe not. I think they didn't get as much credit as they deserved.
Yeah,
I
they
think
got
both of
bad
them are
rep
very good.
because they
I
followed.
think people were, the general public didn't maybe realize that it was something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they just had been beat over the head with Spider-Man for the better part of the
totally.
last
I
two
would've dug that
decades. The
too.
last 20 years, there's
Right.
been so much Spider-Man that if you don't know, the difference, then you wouldn't understand.
Oh, totally.
If they did Amazing 3, who's your villain?
I mean, they were setting up the Sinister Six.
They were.
They even had there was a very obscure villain, the shadowy guy that was in the first and second movie, walking around in the end.
Yeah.
Was like I don't even remember his name at this point, but he
The
was
guy
in,
running it all.
Yeah, he was like it was like I forgot his name, The Stranger or some shit like that. But he was like in a novel called The Sinister Six. It was like a Spider-Man novel, so they were like digging deep to like find how can we like bring the Sinister Six together. I thought they kind of dropped the ball with Harry Osborn and the Green Goblin though for the third time. That's a hat trick of terrible Green Goblins It's the costume.
Oh yeah, I guess
the
the
costume just
first
sucks
trilogy did it twice
every time. Yeah. But like in the first one, he looked like a Power Ranger. The third one, he was James Franco on a skateboard flying through the air, and then the third one, he was, I don't even know what they were trying to do in there, but I mean, they threw Harry Osborn and Ravencroft Institute at the end, and they had teased Dr. Octopus and the Vulture and a number of other people. Electro could have come back, you know. They were very clearly setting up the Sinister Six, and it just didn't happen, you know.
Yeah, because there was talk for a while of even doing like a Sinister Six movie, even before there was a
that's
Suicide Squad movie.
Why would they have done that?
I don't know.
That's so strange.
I don't know, but there was talk about it. Yeah,
The reason you'd watch the Sinister Six is to watch Spider-Man kick their ass,
right?
You know,
exactly.
That's weird. But and they set up Black Cat. They had that girl who ended up being in Star Wars. You know, what's that prequel movie? The first Rogue One.
Yes.
The girl from Rogue One who played Jyn Erso. I can remember the character's name. I can't remember.
She
her.
was Felicia Hardy.
Yeah, she was supposed to be Felicia. So they were setting up Black Cat. They were setting up all kinds of stuff. That Shailene Woodley girl did play Mary Jane in the second movie, but they cut her out. And so she would have maybe been in the third one. I have no idea. But I don't know. I'll always be curious as to what they might have done. I've heard some awful rumors like a Gwen Stacy clone came back, and it's no, dude, don't make the same mistakes as the comics.
Don't do that. Don't do Sins Past in movie form, please.
Yeah, right.
One is enough.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's too much.
I'm just curious. I like what we got now. I'm waiting for Far From Home. Looks really cool.
That looks
and,
cool. Mysterio, yeah.
Yeah, and the cartoon movie just won an Oscar, and it deserves it. It was cool.
That deserved it.
And but I don't know. I'll always wonder what more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man would have been like.
All right, fair enough.
Sergio.
Close us out, man.
Take us home, pal.
Yeah, nothing too great. Kind of just what I feel like all along the lines of what Tony was doing, where you just kind of want to see what would have happened to the characters of this movie once, afterwards. So I think you guys know, Casablanca is one of my favorite movies. I would love to see, what happened? What happened to Rick after, he just got done selling his cafe to Senor, what's his name? The other bar owner. He supposedly is going to have a great new friendship with Louis. But does any of that shit happen? Do they turn him in? Does he get fucked over by everybody in that town because now that he's got nothing, they might as well just fucking turn him into this guy who's
kill him?
Yeah, just turn him over to the Nazis. Who knows? You could go in a million directions with what would have happened to that character afterwards. So I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see how that story would have continued. So
it would have. That's one of those famous it's that open ending, and they walk off into the distance, into the sunset, so to speak, and that's poetic, and it's a classic ending. But yeah, there is part of you that wonders what did happen after that. Yeah. Where did they go?
And I'd be excited to see that too. But how would you feel if all of a sudden you're blah blah trailer for Casablanca 2, Electric Casablanca Lou, and you'd be what the fuck are they doing? Why would they ever do
Why
this?
are they writing this classic? Yeah,
absolutely. I would.
All right.
And then you'd find out who wrote it, who directed it. Okay, this sounds promising. The cast seems all right, but
Scorsese directs it.
That wouldn't be bad.
Maybe.
That wouldn't be bad. I'd watch
Hollywood's
that.
tap, man. I think a lot of these that we've talked about could happen because no one's writing anything
I don't
new.
know.
Who could
Is
pull
it
off Rick? Like a Joaquin Phoenix, maybe.
I wouldn't be mad about that if they announced that. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, he can act.
Yeah.
Also,
It's got to be somebody that with
is
a
he
really
gonna fuck this up?
strong presence. Daniel Day-Lewis.
But
he would become he would become a 1940s bar owner.
Yeah, he would become that
for a year before he played the part.
Exactly.
Has he talked about coming back at all? Or is he done?
He keeps saying he's
Right
retired.
now he's done.
I don't think he's done. I think now it seems like it's every 4 or 5 years or something he'll make a film, and he'll get nominated or win an Oscar for it. So he picks and chooses now. I'm pretty sure, but I don't think he's done. I think we'll see him at least one more, maybe a few more. I don't know if he's retired from it. He's not. If he's retired, what's he doing? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Whatever he wants.
Our next
You're the
podcast
retirement.
is Daniel Day-Lewis. What's he doing now? So anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for Two Drink Minimum. Thank you everybody for listening. This has been a lot of fun.
Teleportia 2.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why
T2,
the fuck that is.
T2 Electric Boogaloo.
TP2.
All right. Well, that being said, cheers once again
Cheers.
to you, gents, and everybody else listening. Thanks for tuning in. Tony Marino, take us out.
This has been Kick Rock 2 Drink Minimum Podcast, talking about sequels and prequels and things that we want to watch and have some continuations on. Chicka chicka bow wow cow now. I didn't mention Monster Squad 2, motherfuckers!
My name is Horace.
Hey, fat kid.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of True Drink Minimum. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a lot coming down the pipeline for you guys in the coming weeks and months here, so stay tuned. Did you agree with our sequels, our sequel choices? Did you not? Do you know where you can tell us that? Of course, you can email us at podcast@kickrock.com. You can also comment directly on our Facebook page. Remember to like and subscribe directly to our iTunes podcast page. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. This has been Two Drink Minimum. We've been drinking, thinking, and talking shop. Cheers, everybody.